Okay, shall we talk about Quentin Tarantino?
Yeah.
Acclaimed film director.
Yeah.
Now, where are you with him? I understand you're not a huge fan.
Well, there's an update on that as well. I looked at him. I enjoyed Pulp Fiction when I first saw it in the theaters. I watched his subsequent movies, and I didn't really like his style that much. He's kind of like Pink Floyd or like Whitney Houston or something to me. Like, I recognize that they're great and a lot of people like them, but my personal taste is not. But last I watched the movie that we're about to talk about and completely changed my mind.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that movie in a couple of minutes, but first I want to point out that in a 1994 interview with Empire magazine, Tarantino said, "I steal from every single movie ever made." And various critics and cinephiles over the years have picked up on it. In fact, for some, it's become kind of a game. You see the new Tarantino film and try to pick out the references to the films of the past that he's paying quote-unquote tribute to.
Yeah.
Usually these thefts, they're mainly visual and serve as homages to landmark films from his favorite genres, specifically spaghetti westerns, French New Wave, Hong Kong action films,
right,
Japanese samurai movies. But he didn't limit his statement to those forms of cinema when he said, "I steal from every single movie ever made." Might, Chris, he have stolen from a TV film as well?
Well, it's certainly possible.
It is possible, and it may even be one we've discussed on our program.
Like last week?
Like last week. In 2021, Tarantino appeared on a podcast called Pure Cinema. He had this to say about the 1982 made-for-TV film Hotline, starring Linda Carter, which we reviewed last time. Let's hear this exchange.
Hotline. Now, was this one you were familiar with, a fan of? What was your position on Hotline?
Well, the thing about Hotline that cracked me up that you brought it up is because I had literally watched it maybe a week before I listened to your episode.
Really, Quentin?
It wasn't like you clued me in. I watched it and I'm like, oh, you guys are doing TV movie thrillers, great, and oh my God, they're gonna talk about Hotline. Hey, Brian.
We need that at the start of the episode. Just you doing that. Hey, Brian.
That's got to be one of your running things.
Yeah. Hey, Brian. I know. I agree.
Hello, Brian.
Hello, Brian. It's me. I've done some bad things.
Well, if you want me to help you, you've got to tell me what kind of bad things.
Yeah.
Hey, Brian. I can.
That was also an interesting choice to name her Brian. I loved it. I thought that was...
Stop it. Stop. We explained. We have a theory as to why her character was named Brian.
Yeah, people couldn't read, basically.
Her name, if you see the credits, the name is Brienne.
Yeah.
So solve that one, Quentin. There you go.
But so, Quentin, you had seen that before, or you hadn't seen it?
No, I literally saw it the week before I listened to your show.
Oh, that's so interesting, because we were
when I watched it, I listened to your show, I think only like a month ago or so. So it wasn't like when it was on.
Sure.
It was when I can't remember. All right. It was a current one. Wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was recent. Yeah, it was recent. But we were just curious because we noticed, without spoiling too much, there's like some death proof stuff that you could kind of, some similarities.
Well, to me, there's more.
Yeah, see, there it is. So a couple of things, Chris. He wants to make it clear that he only saw Hotline a week before he heard them talk about it on this podcast. This Pure Cinema podcast he is now a guest on.
I mean, that seems unlikely, but
right.
Yeah.
Right. And again, the clip we just heard is from December of last year. It's odd that he goes out of his way to say he only just watched it because he's apparently not shy about appropriating the material of others. But maybe when it comes to lifting plot points, he likes to cling to plausible deniability. It's a very thin but visible line between homage and plagiarism.
Can I point something else out?
Please.
You would think someone like Quentin Tarantino, whose job it is as a director, is to pore over minutia of a film in order to get every detail right. And yet he calls into this podcast, and it sounds like he's in a men's laboratory of a train station.
Yeah, this sounds like us a year and a half ago.
Yeah. I mean, when I used to
a little better, but
when I used to call into one of our old shows, I would set up a microphone, set up headphones. I didn't want to just call in on my phone because I knew it would sound bad. We're not getting the same effort from Quentin Tarantino as when I called into, what was that, Wildfire? I don't know. Seems like an odd choice.
So at the end of the clip we just heard, one of the hosts mentions a similarity between Hotline and a film called Death Proof.
Yeah, no, I never saw Death Proof. It was like a double feature thing he did, right? One was Kurt Russell, one was that chick. What's her name? Rose McGowan.
Okay.
Am I thinking of the right movie?
I don't know. Kurt Russell is in Death Proof.
Yeah.
I know very little about this.
No, I never saw it, but yeah, it was meant to be like a double feature. They would show the Kurt Russell movie and then the Rose McGowan movie.
Okay.
Yeah, but I never saw either.
But let's explain what Hotline is. That was the film we saw last week, and Quentin pretends to have watched it a week before.
Yeah, he stumbled
he
across
heard
it.
these guys. Yeah, he just happened to find it.
Fortuitously, right before he called in.
So here's the plot of Hotline. Linda Carter, TV's Wonder Woman, she's stalked by a mysterious phone caller who confesses to multiple murders and ultimately threatens her life as well. The killer turns out to be a disabled former Hollywood stuntman.
Right.
Now, let me read to you IMDb's plot summary for Tarantino's 2007 film Death Proof,
Okay.
the Kurt Russell movie. Two separate sets of voluptuous women are stalked at different times by a scarred stuntman who uses his death-proof cars to execute his murderous plans.
Yeah. So what do you think he stole this?
I think he was inspired by Hotline, but in this case, because it's different to steal a visual, because you can count that as a parody or a reference, an homage, as he kind of tries to pass it off as. When you steal a plot point, that's kind of integral to the original work in a way that makes it actionable.
All right. Well, I'm going to have to disagree with you on this, and here's my reasoning. When we talked about this last week as being a potential topic, you told me that it was the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood that was lifted from Hotline, which turned out to not so much be the case, but also featured a stuntman as one of the main characters.
And this was the movie you watched recently, I guess in the past week.
I watched it last night.
And you liked it.
Steve, I loved it. And it's going to be something I watch over and over again. It's completely transformed the way I think about Quentin Tarantino's movies. Yeah, I mean, it was just brilliant in my opinion.
Now, do the similarities between Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and Hotline, do those end at the one guy being a stuntman and the other guy being
I really don't think anything else of it. And I'll tell you, here's what I think, Steve. I think the idea of having a stuntman be one of your characters is just kind of a hack idea. And that's kind of how all this comes about. Because think about it. Everyone knows an actor, right? And that's one of the other characters in all these movies is his actor friend, right? But everyone knows an actor. How many people who don't live in LA have ever met a stuntman? Unless is Bam Margera a stuntman? I guess in that case,
I
think I ran into him at some point. But really, the stuntmen how many of them are there in the world? 100, maybe? Like, it's just there aren't that many of them, and it's just not.
I would think there are as many of those as there are working star actors.
Like A-listers, you mean?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Or as many who are working at one time.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seems like it's like a kind of a hack thing. If you're going to set a film in LA, we're going to have a stuntman in it. But, it's like, I don't know.
I just said those. Did you hear that? That was bad.
I didn't pick up on that.
That was terrible.
Thanks for pointing it out. I'm going to go back and listen.
Everybody's going to. Oh, man. So,
are we done with this audio of Tarantino calling in?
We are.
All right.
We are. Are you done talking about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
I mean, yeah. I don't. I would just recommend people see it. I don't want to go on and on about it. I read the review in the New Yorker, and it seemed like that fellow was upset that it was a film made by white guys starring white guys. So I don't know that some of the reviews were on the level. I don't know. Don't be deterred
possibly
by
a social agenda.
Yeah, don't be deterred by the bad ratings.